Hey, you're listening to Our Children, Our Future. I'm your host, Drake Pearson, and I just wanted to give you an example of how today's events affect tomorrow's future, especially for your children. And I'll do this with a quick story. I got a call from a dad about helping his son read, and he says his son knows how to read, but is struggling with comprehension. He's 9, by the way. So I offered to do an assessment for them. And when you have like a visual idea of what someone looks like just from hearing their voice, well, I had this idea of what this dad looked like. And when I pulled up to the driveway, I saw him and he looked nothing like what I had envisioned. I was like, okay, I got it wrong. Right. But anyway, I get out of my car. I wave hi to him. He waves to me. He mumbles something under his breath. I have no idea what he's saying, but I introduce myself. And he starts heading towards the door, towards the house. And so I'm a little bit behind him, but I start following him in. And he gets to the house and he closes the door before I get there. And I was like, that is so weird. Well, maybe, okay, maybe he's like inside cleaning something up before I come in. I'll give him a minute. Maybe he's going to come back, open the door real quick. I have no idea. But I stood there for a little while until finally I just knocked. And then the mom opened the door and I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? We chatted for a little bit. I saw the dad going in and out of different rooms, in and out the front door, and I'm like, I guess he's really busy. So I sit down with the child and I have him read, and he starts stumbling on a lot of different words. And after a short while, a whole bunch of people started coming in through the door, and I hear one of the guys start talking, and I recognize his voice. And I'm like, oh, this is the dad. It wasn't the other guy the whole time. So I'm thinking the dad's like ignoring me or anything. No, the dad wasn't there. He just walked in the door. I was like, oh, and he looked like what I expected him to look like, which was pretty funny. Um, but after a few more things that I did with the son, I just asked the parents, I said, hey, did he have any issues with hearing when he was younger? Like maybe some ear infections or fluid in the ears or anything like that? And they said, yes, he had tubes. How did you know? And um, I was just seeing some certain things as I was sitting with the child and the way he was reading and some of these indicators that was like, oh, it seems like he's not hearing properly or he wasn't hearing properly when he was younger. And they said he hears perfectly now, right? But the problem is he doesn't recognize what he's hearing. For him, it's normal to not necessarily recognize what he's hearing. And I'm seeing that while he's reading. While he's reading, he'll stumble over some words, right? And he'll just continue on reading. And he'll say words that are not in the text and make no sense. And he'll just continue reading, which to me is an indicator that it's normal for him to not understand, especially when it comes to reading. And I was even stopping him and asking him, like, hey, what did you just read? What does that even mean? He's like, I have no idea. Right. And the reason why this is happening is because his relationship with the words is very uncertain. And this can be seen in the way he pronounces words. He'll pronounce the same word differently depending on, just a moment. Or he'll spell the word completely different than how it's actually spelled. And when he's reading a word, he'll pronounce a completely different word than what's written there on the page. And the big problem with this is phonics does not help. Phonics does not help because he has a very uncertain understanding of which word matches with the written spelling of it or how it's pronounced. And so even teaching him phonetic rules, he's sitting there and trying to read, but then, oh, this one is an exception. And also that word is an exception. And this word and that word, you get the point, right? And the big piece here is this is something that happened before he could ever read, before he was even close to reading. This was happening when he was very, very young, but it's having an effect on how he's reading now that he's 9 years old. And this is why I tell parents all the time that they need to consider their child's education long before they think it's even necessary. Because this child is very intelligent. He's very intelligent, but he's struggling because he didn't get a solid foundation of understanding, a solid foundation of words when he was younger. And how could he? Because even the words that he was hearing seemed to change every time he would hear word. Like, oh, am I hearing this? Am I hearing that? Right. And by the way, this is not through any fault of the parents. I mean, it's not like they were sitting there giving him ear infections on purpose or something. You know what I mean? But even though it wasn't their fault, there was nothing they could do about it then. It doesn't have to be this case today. It doesn't have to be the case for a child who's struggling with this today. And so we can prevent this for other kids. So if you know a child who is struggling with ear infections or fluid in their ears, or they just have poor hearing or anything like that, you can help them by, I mean, you could share this video with their parents or just direct them to the link in the description. And they can it'll automatically send them an email and they can reply to that email and we can get the details of what's going on so we can help them, right? But we really do need to take action before it's too late. But even if you know someone like that who maybe they had ear infections, they had the tubes in their ears or whatever, it's all cleared up now, but they're currently struggling with reading, well, we might be able to help them as well. Just the same deal. Just have them go to the link in the description, send us an email, and we'll get the details of what's going on. And if we can help, we will, of course, right? But I'm astonished by how many parents are just not aware of this. And I know there are so many other things that are like this that parents just don't know that is having an effect on their child's future. But the nice thing is, though, we can be prepared for it if we know how. So if you'd like to make sure that your kids are prepared as best that they can be for the future, you as well can follow the link in the description, get my free microbook, and start your kids on the right path today. On the right path today. No, don't wait. Don't wait till they're like, oh, they're not going to start school till they're 6 or 5 or whatever. That is a mistake. We can prepare them today and catch any of these little things that might have an effect later on before they become a problem. Remember, our kids deserve the best, and we can make that happen for them. So let's. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.